Hello and welcome to my re-review of The Angry Video Game Nerd Part 2. Today we are talking about what I feel went wrong with his videos. Now before I begin, just remember this. This is only my opinion. You don't have to agree. What I dislike, you might like. So just please keep all of this in mind and let's get to the review. When I give a reviewer a 3.5 or 4-star rating, it's never one individual aspect that impresses me. It's not even 2 or 3. It's when everything is used to boost everything else. The criticisms give fuel for the humor, which in turn makes the criticisms more lively. And the production values give a feeling of authenticity to the words, which have meaning as well as conviction. With all of the elements of a review supporting each other, the review will be a success. But take away one of these traits, maybe even twist them around a little, and the review collapses on its own weight. In the case of AVGN, his criticisms were simple and unpretentious. He both told and showed us what was wrong with the game. But make no mistake, it was all about the humor. The humor came from his reactions to these points, and that made him funny. The humor served the criticisms, and the criticisms served the humor. But what happens when you begin to sound like you're repeating the same point over and over again in your reviews? That's where AVGN's problems begin, and the sad thing is it's not really his fault either. While I'm sure he has plenty of bad games he can still review, bad does not always mean good for a review. With film, ask yourself, why does everybody like to review Battlefield Earth, but not Heaven's Gate, which was actually more despised when it was released? Battlefield Earth is bad in a funny way. Heaven's Gate is just boring. There's no good comedic material to be found in boring. So that's why everybody likes to review Battlefield Earth. This is what I feel is happening with a lot of AVGN's reviews. What he's reviewing provides nothing new. They're just kind of generically bad, or we've seen that kind of bad before, which makes his point seem rather redundant now. Example, his Dark Castle review. All I could think of was how every complaint he made could pretty much be found in a past review of his. This affects the humor because we've seen all these comical responses before. What's odd is James knows all of this, but he cannot do anything about it really. Since the games no longer provide material for him, he is forced to compensate by exaggerating his mannerisms, acting in sketches, relying on gimmicks, and of course blowing shit up. The sketch humor tends to be overblown by both his fans and detractors. I mean, he only does sketch videos a few times a year, so I won't hold that against him at all. In fact, sometimes they can even be pretty endearing. But his persona has become more and more fictitious, and while James does okay with it, he lacks Joe's ability to mug, or the snob's ability to act. It feels forced, and this carries into the games that do provide good material. Because if he went back to his more old natural style, it might come across as a little underwhelming, or at least that's what he probably thinks. Take his profanity, for example. It was always kind of weird and abstract, but it was more or less believable. These days it almost feels too clever, too creative, and it comes across as really staged and phony. Because his responses now come across as fake, the humor just isn't as funny. By exploiting the gimmicks, After Effects, and his mannerisms, he has become more and more like his imitations. We'll discuss that more in the next episode, though. To be fair to James, he's just a victim of the trend, which he happened to inspire. Angry reviewing will eventually run out of steam and die, because we've seen it all. Proof? Look at his Rob the Robot review. It is uncannily similar to the Irate Gamers review in parts. Does that mean that James ripped him off? I highly doubt it. I don't think he's that stupid. But angry reviewers all seem to be merging into a single entity, and I can't tell most of them apart anymore. There's no more originality to be found in the trend. Angry reviewers seem to be getting the same ideas, and their reviews are becoming more and more alike. Hence, the trend will die. I used to consider the Angry Video Game Nerd different enough to be above the trend. Now I'd say he's just part of it. But with that said, I do believe that he is better than the bulk of his imitations. So take that as you will. Once again, remember that this is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. My name is Marshall Hart, and I'm here to tell you that those who cannot do, critique.